Why did it have to be you? Mother's cold voice pierced the silence of the living room, her icy gaze fixed on my abdomen. I froze, speechless. My name is Moran, a 25-year-old housewife. My older sister Tara is 3 years my senior and has always been Mother's favorite. For years, I longed for Mother's approval. When I discovered I was pregnant, I dared to hope that news of her first grandchild might bridge the chasm between us. That day, my husband Warner and I visited my parents' house to share our announcement. Tara was the first to greet us, her bright smile as warm as ever. "Moran, it's been so long," she said, pulling me into a hug. Father was out at work, but Tara assured me he'd return soon. When Mother appeared, her expression tightened at the sight of me, though she quickly masked it with a smile as soon as she noticed Warner. "Oh my, I don't have anything prepared for your visit. Just a moment," she said, retreating to the kitchen. Minutes later, she returned with a plate of homemade cookies. They were laden with sugar, something she knew I disliked. "Ah, that's right. Moran doesn't like sweets, does she?" she said with exaggerated concern, her gaze shifting to Warner. "I'm sorry." Warner smiled politely and replied, "Who I'm eating with matters more than what I'm eating." Mother's response was curt. "I see." She sat down on the sofa, her gaze still guarded. With everyone seated, I took a deep breath. "We came here today because we have something important to share." My voice trembled slightly. Mother's sharp eyes bore into me, but I pressed on. "Actually, I'm pregnant." For a moment, the room was utterly silent. Then Tara broke it with a joyous cheer. "Moran, congratulations," she said, throwing her arms around me. But Mother's expression darkened. Warner excused himself to take a work call, and Tara headed to the kitchen to make tea. Left alone with Mother, the tension in the room became suffocating. Her mask slipped completely. "Why did it have to be you?" she spat, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. I opened my mouth to respond, but she cut me off. "The first grandchild should have been Tara's. Someone like you." Before I could process her words, she stood abruptly and kicked me hard in the stomach. The pain was searing, and I collapsed, a scream tearing from my throat. "Mother, stop." Tara's horrified cry came from the kitchen doorway. She ran to me as Warner burst back into the room, his face a mix of shock and fury. "Moran," he shouted, kneeling beside me as I curled into myself, trembling. Tara grabbed her phone and called an ambulance while Warner held me protectively. "What are you doing?" She bumped into the dresser, Mother said calmly, waving a dismissive hand. But Tara's voice cracked with anger. "Mom, I saw you. You kicked her in the stomach." As the sound of ambulance sirens grew louder, I drifted in and out of consciousness. Warner squeezed my hand, whispering, "It's okay. I'm here." Tara was sobbing as she restrained Mother, shouting, "What if something happens to the baby?" The paramedics arrived, their voices urgent and commanding. As they lifted me onto the stretcher, Mother's cold stare burned into me, a concentrated embodiment of the disdain she'd shown me my entire life. Tara rode with me in the ambulance, holding my hand tightly. "I'm so sorry," she said over and over, tears streaming down her face. I should have noticed before. Despite my pain, I felt a glimmer of gratitude for my sister. Her warmth and love had been a constant, even in the shadow of Mother's indifference. As the ambulance sped toward the hospital, the glow of streetlights flickered across my vision. My mind drifted to memories of my childhood. When had Mother's treatment of Tara and me diverged so starkly? I couldn't pinpoint the moment, but I knew Mother, the town's former beauty queen, had always reveled in how Tara mirrored her looks. Every neighbor's compliment, "You're Patricia's daughter, aren't you?" seemed to make her glow with pride. I, however, with my features taking after Father, had always been her disappointment. Lying in a hospital bed later that night, I came to a decision. It was time to end this toxic relationship with Mother, for my sake and for my child's. I still vividly remember one Christmas morning when I was 8 and Tara was 11. The tree was adorned with shimmering lights, and beautifully wrapped presents were stacked beneath it. Tara opened her gift first, a trendy, brand-name dress. Mother beamed with pride. "It's perfect for Tara. She is my daughter, after all," she said, her voice dripping with affection. When my turn came, I eagerly tore the wrapping off my box. Inside, I found a pair of simple jeans and a t-shirt, likely purchased on sale at Walmart. "These suit you better, Moran," Mother remarked casually. My young self didn't know how to respond. I just nodded, swallowing the lump forming in my throat. It wasn't just about the clothes. Even at mealtimes, the differences were glaring. Mother would heap extra portions onto Tara's plate, urging her, "You can eat more, can't you?" and offering her homemade desserts. Meanwhile, she'd ration my servings, saying, "Moran, if you want to maintain that figure, that's enough, don't you think?" As we grew older, the gap between us widened. Tara blossomed into a popular, confident teenager and became captain of the cheerleading squad. Mother attended every one of her weekend games, snapping endless pictures with pride. I, on the other hand, joined the track team. Despite my strong performance and good times, Mother never once came to watch. "I'm busy," was her perpetual excuse. Father came occasionally, patting my head with a simple, "You did well." But he was preoccupied with work and seemed oblivious to the complexities of our family dynamic. In high school, I began to realize my situation wasn't normal. The turning point came during a conversation with my best friend, Serena. "Moran, your mother is just too cruel," she said one day. I blinked, startled. "What do you mean?" "She buys designer clothes for Taro, but," Serena hesitated, her voice trailing off, "my mom would never treat her kids differently like that." Her words opened my eyes. For the first time, I saw my family through a lens I had avoided, and the truth was painful. Yet Tara remained unaware of the disparity. She genuinely believed I preferred simpler clothes. "Moran, you have such a good figure. You look good in anything," Tara would often say with a smile. Sometimes she even offered to lend me her clothes, but they rarely fit. Mother's treatment worsened when no one else was around. Along with her, her words turned sharp and cutting. "To think I had to give birth to a child like you. Tara would have been enough. Why can't you be more like her?" Her accusations tore at my self-worth, but I learned to hold back my tears, knowing that showing pain only fueled her cruelty. My friends noticed the toll it took on me. On my 16th birthday, Serena and a few others threw me a surprise party. Mother gave me nothing that year, but the small makeup set my friends gifted me remains one of my most treasured possessions. It was around that time that I decided to leave home. I was determined to build a life of my own after high school. Mother's parting words were a sneer. "With just a high school diploma, you'll never amount to anything." But her scorn only steeled my resolve. Meanwhile, Tara went to college, with Mother proudly dipping into the family savings to cover her tuition. "It's worth it for Tara," she said, as if justifying the sacrifice. No such funds had ever been set aside for me, but strangely, the injustice made me stronger. I focused on maintaining excellent grades while working part-time at a local diner. With each paycheck, I built my savings and mapped out a plan for the future. Lying in my hospital bed now, those memories flood back to me like scenes from a movie. The steady beep of the monitor reminds me I'm safe. The doctor assured me my little one is unharmed. I'm no longer that helpless girl. I vowed that day, as I lay staring at the evening sky, that I would never treat my child the way Mother treated me. On my second morning in the hospital, Warner arrived early. When I asked, "Is work okay?" he smiled warmly and replied, "You're more important." I met Warner 3 years after graduating high school. Right after leaving home, Mother had sneered, "You'll be back soon enough." But I never returned. Tara, busy with her college life, seemed indifferent to my departure. Starting out was tough. I continued working at the diner while applying for clerical positions at major supermarket chains. Every time I mentioned my lack of a college degree, interviewers' faces clouded with doubt. I lost count of how many rejections I faced, more than 30. The turning point came during an interview for a customer service position at an IT company. The HR manager said, "We value your experience and motivation more than your education." Those words changed my life. I landed my first office job at a modest IT company where I met Warner, a systems engineer. Our first interaction was over a jammed printer. "You're always here early and staying late," Warner observed one day, his tone warm and curious. I answered honestly, "I want to learn as much as I can." For someone with just a high school diploma, this job is a rare opportunity. From that day on, Warner often stopped by my desk. We chatted over coffee during breaks and eventually began spending weekends together. As we grew closer, I found the courage to share my struggles. My fraught relationship with Mother, the favoritism toward Tara, and Father's quiet indifference. I feared opening up would drive him away, But Warner was different. "No one has the right to deny your worth," he said, holding me tightly. For the first time, I felt safe enough to let my tears fall freely. Warner proposed during the winter of my second year at the company. After the office Christmas party, we strolled through streets adorned with glowing lights. He suddenly knelt on one knee, offering a simple but heartfelt, "Will you marry me?" I said yes without hesitation. 2 years had passed since I'd left home when I returned to announce our engagement. Mother's reaction was predictably cold at first. "No decent man would marry a woman with just a high school education," she scoffed. But when she learned Warner was a systems engineer, her demeanor shifted dramatically. "Oh my, an engineer," she exclaimed, her sudden warmth disingenuous. While her change in attitude made me uncomfortable, Warner handled her superficial behavior with grace, responding with calm sincerity. Tara, on the other hand, was genuinely thrilled. "Moran, I'm so happy for you," she said, embracing me with a bright smile and offering to help with the wedding preparations. Even father, typically distant, offered his rare approval, saying he's a good young man. Our wedding was small but heartfelt. Mother wore a smile for appearances but couldn't resist whispering in my ear at the reception, "I don't think this will last." Her words no longer had the power to hurt me. My new life was a revelation. Warner's parents welcomed me with open arms, treating me like their own daughter. My mother-in-law gently guided me through the early days of marriage. "Your cooking is delicious," she'd say, her praise genuine and kind. At work, I continued to thrive. My experience in customer service led to a new role training employees, proving that my high school diploma wasn't a limitation anymore. A year after we married, I discovered I was pregnant. Warner's joy was immediate. He leaped to his feet, exclaiming, "This is amazing," and eagerly shared the news with his parents. They were overjoyed, showering us with baby catalogs and advice. Despite their excitement, I hesitated to tell my own family. I knew Mother would find a way to ruin the moment. Yet, a small part of me held on to hope. Hope that this baby might bridge the divide between us. Warner encouraged me, "I'll go with you." We set a date and informed Tara beforehand. That day now feels like a nightmare. As I lie in his hospital bed, the faint fragrance from the bouquet Warner brought fills the room. His whispered words, "It's our turn now," resonate deeply. Despite everything, I know I have Warner, our baby, and a happiness no one can take from me. A knock at the door interrupts my thoughts. "Ma'am, it's time for rounds," the nurse says gently, pulling me back to reality. The choices ahead will be hard, but there's no turning back. The doctor's earlier words echo in my mind. There's a small fracture, but the fetus is unaffected. Relief washed over the room when he said it. Tara squeezed my hand and Warner nodded, his face solemn but calm. Our relief was short-lived. The door opened and Father entered, followed by Mother. "Moran," Father said, his voice tinged with distress. "Tara called us. Is it true?" Mother cut him off, her tone defensive. "What are you talking about? Moran just bumped into the dresser, that's all." Tara stood up, her voice trembling with anger. "That's enough, Mom. I saw it. I saw you kick Moran in the stomach." The color drained from Father's face. "It can't be." Before he could say more, another knock came. A social worker stood at the door. "May I speak with you?" Though her voice was calm, her presence radiated authority. Mother crumpled, tears streaming down her face. "I'm being made the villain. Everyone's ganging up on me," she wailed, but no one was moved by her performance. The social worker remained composed. "This is clearly a case of violence, especially concerning a pregnant victim. It will be treated as a serious matter." Her words froze Mother in her tracks. "I can report this to the police," the social worker added, "but if you'd like to discuss this as a family first." Tara's voice cut through the tension. "Moran, let's tell them everything now." I took a deep breath. "Yes," I said quietly. "There's no need to hide anymore." It was time to confront the years of mistreatment I had endured from Mother. The weight of 25 years pressed heavily on my chest, but I began speaking. "Dad," I said, my voice trembling. "I've been enduring this all along." Piece by piece, I laid it all out, the favoritism, the cruel words, the way Mother would shower Tara with affection while treating me like an afterthought, her demeanor shifting entirely when no one else was around. "Moran," Father's voice broke as he spoke, trembling with regret. Why didn't you tell me before? I couldn't. I wiped away the tears spilling down my cheeks. She always acted like a good mother in front of you and Tara. I thought no one would believe me. Tara, sitting nearby, covered her face with her hands. I'm so sorry, Moran, she sobbed. I never noticed. Before I could respond, Mother abruptly stood, her voice sharp and defensive. Is it my fault? She spat. She was ugly and useless. Tara was beautiful, talented, just like me. Her tirade was cut short by Father, whose voice, usually so soft, thundered through the room. Enough, he said firmly. You're unfit to be a mother. I won't let you hurt Moran anymore. The social worker present spoke up calmly. In this situation, I recommend a restraining order and counseling. Mother's face twisted in anger. Suddenly, she lunged toward my bed, screaming, You ungrateful child. After everything I did for you. But Warner and Father were quicker. They restrained her as nurses rushed in, restoring order to the chaos. That evening, Father made his decision clear. I'm filing for divorce, he announced, his voice steady but filled with sorrow. Moran, I'm so sorry. I should have seen this. The police began investigating and a restraining order was issued. Mother moved in with relatives but continued sending bitter messages. I'll never forgive you, one said. You ruined my life. Tara, however, became my greatest ally. She visited my hospital room daily, vowing to support me. This time, she said, her voice resolute, I'll be there for you. Warner's parents were equally loving. My mother-in-law brought homemade soup every visit, her warm words filling the gaps left by my own mother. You're a precious daughter, she said. On the day of my discharge, my doctor gently placed a hand on my belly. The baby is healthy, he'd assured me. They'll grow up strong. Warner pushed my wheelchair outside, with Tara and Father walking beside us. The soft spring sunlight bathed us, and for the first time, I felt the warmth of true family. Before helping me into the car, Father hugged me tightly. From now on, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. Let's live as true parent and child. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. The long winter of my life was over. A new season had begun. In the delivery room, the doctor's voice echoed. Moran, one more push. With every ounce of strength, I bore down, the sound of Warner's steady encouragement in my ear. You've got this. Tara, crying softly, rubbed my back. Then, a strong, healthy cry filled the room. It's a girl, the nurse announced, holding up the tiny bundle. As the nurse handed her to me, I stared at her red face and tiny clenched fists, tears blurring my vision. Nikki, I whispered, the name Warner, and I had chosen. Father was the first to see her in the waiting room. Tears welled in his eyes as he said, She looks just like you did when you were born. 3 months have passed since that day. Mother's last contact was a voicemail filled with resentment. I'll never forgive you. You've taken everything from me. I later heard she moved out of state. Sometimes late at night, I think about her, not with anger, but with sadness. She's a woman who lost her way, who lost the ability to love. Moran, Tara's voice pulled me from my thoughts. I think Nikki's awake. It's feeding time. Tara brought Nikki to me. She moved into an apartment nearby and visits almost daily, her gentle smile a source of comfort. Nikki has your eyes, she said, gazing down at the baby. Nikki's brown eyes reflected mine, but her radiant smile was all Warner. Father recently retired early to spend time with Nikki. I want to watch my granddaughter grow up, he explained. Every weekend he visits, holding her for hours. One day, he spoke to me with uncharacteristic seriousness. Moran, he said, you've done so well. You've become a wonderful mother. His words were a balm for wounds I carried for decades. Parenting isn't easy. Sleepless nights, constant worries, and endless adjustments fill our days. But I'm surrounded by love. Tara is my rock, always offering help. Warner's parents treat Nikki like their own grandchild, knitting her clothes and showering her with love. I've started attending a support group for mothers with complicated family histories. Sharing my story has helped me heal. On Nikki's 6-month birthday, we held a small celebration. Father, Tara, Warner's parents, and close friends filled the room with laughter and warmth. As the setting sun bathed us in light, Warner leaned in and whispered, Are you happy? I smiled. Very. Looking at Nikki's peaceful face, I silently vowed to give her unconditional love, to shield her from the darkness I once endured. As if sensing my thoughts, Nikki reached out her tiny hand, her touch reassuring me. This is where our real story begins. The spring breeze outside swayed the trees gently, promising a bright future ahead.